If you've never heard of an SCP, you've stumbled across the right video. SCPs are anomalous individuals, entities, locations, objects, and phenomena operating outside the bounds of natural law. The existence of SCPs is withheld from the public in order to prevent mass panic and to allow human civilization to function normally. SCP stands for Secure, Contain, and Protect, something that the SCP Foundation by the same name attempts to do once one is discovered. Once an SCP is contained, they're studied by scientists, logged, and documented. Documentation on these creatures is considered absolutely classified. However, if you think you're ready to be in the know, then continue, but do so at your own risk, because once you know about SCPs, there's no going back. Here are 5 paranormal SCPs that will haunt you. Number 5 is SCP-610, The Flesh That Hates. SCP-610, also known as the Flesh That Hates, is an extra-dimensional entity that manifests in our reality and consumes as much organic material as possible, including humans, in order to assimilate them into itself. However, what makes it so terrifying is the insidious way it manifests its form. The entity will manifest as a contagious skin disease at first, with symptoms including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity. Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes, resembling heavy scar tissue to form on the chest and arm areas, and spreads to the legs and back within an additional hour, consuming the victim completely within 5 hours. Those in warm regions are at the greatest risk, as exposure to higher temperatures vastly decreases the time for the contagion to spread, and complete infections have been recorded occurring in as little as 5 minutes. The creature doesn't have a form of its own to speak of, and is at least partially sentient. The first reports of SCP-610 came direct from the Russian government through classified channels. People began to notice the disappearance of farmers in the area of Lake Baikal in southern Siberia, and eventually called the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally, the highest levels of government responded. However, every agent from local to federal all failed to report back within a 72-hour period. Every one of them disappeared. In response, a small military contingent was dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew. Observation of infected settlements have been established using artificial methods such as remote robots. Due to the vast area of infection that SCP-610 covers, containment is almost impossible. This means that if it's ever discovered, containment and isolation of a massive area is required in order to prevent the spread of the entity. Authorities will often establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations. So if you ever suddenly get a skin condition that you can't explain and you see an increased military presence in your area, you know exactly what happened. Number 4 is SCP-096, The Shy Guy. SCP-096, also known as the Shy Guy, is a humanoid creature measuring 9.2 feet or 2.8 meters tall that is normally extremely docile. However, when someone looks upon its face, they will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. But that is just stage 1. SCP-096 will then cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently briefly before chasing down the person who viewed its face. It will not stop until it reaches the person's location, after which it will proceed to kill them or cause the individual to end their own life by cause of madness. Afterwards, it will regain its composure and begin to be docile once again. However, you don't need to see the creature in person. All photos, videos, and recordings of SCP-096's likeness are strictly forbidden, as even gazing upon a picture of it can cause madness. Despite having very little muscle mass, this SCP can run towards you at speeds of up to 35 kilometers per hour or 22 miles per hour. Its features, save for its height, are very similar to that of the average human. However, its jaw can open to 4 times the norm of the average human, and its eyes are devoid of pigmentation, so there will be no mistaking it if seen. Interestingly, it's not known whether the shy guy is blind or not, but that won't stop it from hunting down anyone who it sees. If seen, it's known to kill 100% of the subjects it sees, leaving no traces. After killing its victim, it will shake and shudder until it regains its composure. The creature's origins are unknown, and it's largely indestructible as no known material or method can impede SCP-096's progress. There is a theory, however, that if this SCP were to look into a mirror, it would pursue itself through the mirror frame, chasing a hallucination of itself endlessly. However, nobody has ever gotten close enough to one to survive in order to test this theory. In the end, SCP-096 is one of the hardest SCPs to get away from if encountered, and if encountered, you'll have just moments to say goodbye. Number 3 is SCP-106 The Old Man. SCP-106, also known as the Old Man, appears to be an elderly humanoid with a general appearance of advanced decomposition or a rotting body. SCP-106 causes a corrosion effect in all solid matter that it touches, engaging a physical breakdown in materials several seconds after contact. No physical interaction with SCP-106 can happen at any time, as anything it touches rusts, rots, and cracks, creating a black mucus-like substance similar to the material that it coats itself with. This effect is particularly detrimental to living tissues, and it's believed to be a pre-digestion action on its prey. The Old Man is capable of passing through solid matter, leaving behind a large patch of its corrosive mucus. It's also able to disappear inside solid matter, entering a pocket dimension within our own, making it easier to stalk its prey, meaning that you wouldn't see it coming. It can enter and exit that dimension at will and at any point, such as the wall and then reappearing under your bed. The entity will remain motionless for days at a time, waiting to spot its next prey. It can scale any vertical surface and can remain suspended upside down indefinitely. When attacking, SCP-106 will attempt to incapacitate its prey by damaging major organs, muscle groups, or tendons, then pull disabled prey into the pocket dimension, somewhat like a spiderweb. The creature has been documented to prefer human prey between 10 and 25 years of age. Its origins are unknown, but some believe it originated in the pocket dimension that it enters back into from time to time. The only way to contain this SCP is in a sealed container comprised of lead-lined steel 40 layers thick. From there, a secondary containment area is necessary, comprised of 16 spherical cells, each filled with various fluids and a random assembly of surfaces and supports. But that is, of course, if it's able to be caught. Generally, this rotting, sentient, decayed body will wander until it finds what it needs, its next young victim. So, if you're between 10 and 25 years of age, pay special attention to any rotted, decayed, or rusted surfaces in your immediate area. The Old Man may just be close. Number 2 is SCP-303 The Doorman. Witnesses describe SCP-303, or the Doorman, as a nude, sexless, emaciated humanoid figure with reddish-brown skin. Instead of normal facial features, its head is dominated by an extremely large mouth, which bears a set of oversized human teeth. It's unable to speak, and instead continuously makes a loud wheezing noise. What's different about the Doorman is that everybody who's had encounters with it are capable of describing it in full, even including individuals who have not yet physically seen any part of it. From time to time, SCP-303 materializes behind closed doors, hatches, or other entryway barriers opposite from you. It will remain behind that door, waiting for an individual to open it. When the door is opened, the person will experience intense, paralyzing fear that will last until SCP-303 disappears on its own or after being seen by another person. Those who have experienced this fear describe it as the fear of spiders and snakes combined. The creature has never allowed anyone to see more than 10% of its form and does not allow itself to come into direct visual contact with any observer. SCP-303's first recorded appearance was on 3/1/10 at an undisclosed site. The first documented encounter was a woman showering when she became aware of a presence on the opposite side of the shower curtain. Startled by the discovery, she accidentally struck the shower curtain, causing it to sway outwards. The curtain partially wrapped around SCP-303, revealing that it was less than 0.5 meters from the curtain, allowing her to escape. In another incident, a man was on break at his work and went to get coffee creamer from the cabinet when he heard loud wheezing coming from it. SCP-303 was huddled in the fetal position in the cabinet, ready to pounce. However, he never opened that cabinet door. But perhaps most disturbing was a single male in his bed at approximately 11:45 p.m. when he heard a loud wheezing sound from under his bed, which awoke him. Thinking he was having a nightmare, he waited until it grew louder, at which point he escaped the home and never went back. So remember, next time you close your eyes in the shower or in bed, to keep your eyes peeled for one last glance around, because the doorman may just be waiting for you. And number 1 is SCP-173 The Sculpture. SCP-173, also known as the Sculpture or simply Peanut, is a humanoid statue composed of rebar, concrete, and Krylon spray paint, and has origins unknown. This was actually the first SCP ever found and documented by the SCP Foundation and greater authorities. Despite being what appears to be a sculpture, SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. Though interestingly, the object cannot move while in direct line of sight, meaning while you're looking at it, it doesn't move. What this means is if you ever encounter it, your line of sight must never be broken at any time with SCP-173. There only appears to be one of the sculpture, and so it must be kept in a locked container at all times. If authorities choose to enter the container, a minimum of 3 people is required to enter with the door relocked behind them. At all times, 2 people must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173. The reason for this is that if it goes unobserved for even a moment, even a blink of an eye, it will attack anyone around it, snapping the neck at the base of the skull, or will simply strangle them. It's so serious that anyone assigned to enter the container even has to alert one another before blinking. It has been known to escape in the past, and if it ever does, you'll know if it did and if it's near you. First, you'll hear the sounds of scraping stone originating from somewhere close to you. This is the sculpture positioning itself to attack. Secondly, it produces a reddish-brown substance on the floor, which was identified as a combination of feces and blood. Victims in the past have made the mistake of thinking this was rust or perhaps blood of an animal to their own detriment. Remember that SCP-173 is extremely fast, to the point where it can move multiple meters while the observer is blinking. So if you're lucky enough to make eye contact with it, keep it for as long as humanly possible, for your next blink may be your last. If you've made it this far, I want to invite you to join my official Discord. It's the first link in the description. Discord.gg/Matthew Santoro is my official verified Discord where I hang out and talk to you guys daily. It's the best place to stay in contact with me outside of these videos, so I highly encourage you to join the community. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.